Let's move to the next section of that will be the BYOD, being your own device. So which is the most famous one, and ICE is also very famous for this one. Now, personal devices, when supporting the personal devices on a corporate network, we must protect network services and enterprise data by authenticating and authorizing users. So that user can be anyone, employees or contractors, and can be guest, and it can be any other MAP authenticated device. So Cisco ISE provide that tool. You need to allow the employee to securely use a personal device on a corporate. So Cisco ISE allows that tool for you. Now, supported devices, there are many devices which are by default supported by the ISE, and it will also do the profiling whenever the user has authenticated and the machine has been authenticated and authorized. Now, whenever the employee brings in the personal devices, the only thing is that we want to make sure that they are able to access the ISE in a proper way such that they are able to access different portals which they can report it the lost device, and they can also see that how many devices have been registered, and also they can see that how many, what do we say, if there are any blacklisted device or not. Now coming to the native support, this is for the old operating system where the ICE does not support directly, but it when you're provisioning the native supplicants, this supplicant will make sure that implementing or importing the right certificate of the ICE within that particular laptop or PC, and make sure that the communication is secure between ICE and the network enterprise network. Right, so let's move forward. Now the portals, the different portals which the user can have a look or they can have access. So by default, they can see the blacklisted portal and the My Device portal. This is only for the users. And the remaining all four of them are for the administrators. Certificate provisioning. So whenever the device is coming on board, we want to make sure that that device has been given a certificate so that for the it will be used for the re-authentication of the device. So we don't want the authentication to happen again and again. No. So once the authentication has happened, we will import the ICE certificate or whatever the CA certificate authority certificate we are going to import in that one, so that whenever they are trying to authenticate, the ICE can see that okay, they have been already authenticated and they have completed the BYOD process. We do not require to do anything anymore. So once that is been done, so we will provision that client certificate provisioning. And after that, if you want to implement the client provisioning, that is forces to download the posture, that is checking the whether the PC is been connected to the USB, a USB is connected to PC or not, if the firewall is up to date or not. If you want to check these things, you can go ahead and provision this one too. But since we are doing it the virtualization, any one can happen at any one time. Whether either you can create your BYOD or you can go ahead with the client provisioning, anyone. But in the production, yes, you can have multiple policies, multiple rules where you can first check for the client provisioning. When everything seems to be set right, then you can go ahead and provision the BYOD portal. Now, MDN portal, this is for the mobile portal. So if you are onboarding the mobile devices, this is where you will be using MDM portals. Now, BYOD portal, this is where the user will access this portal and he will do a self-registration once they authenticated. Not all of them can be authenticated. For example, if he is a guest and if you do not enable the self-registration, then he is not able to onboard his device. So if you want the guest to be also registered, then you have to enable the self-registration within that portal so that whenever the people, guest is coming in, they can register themselves and they can register their device also. Now, this is a good thing because when we are allowing the guest devices to be onboarded, we are also implementing the client provisioning so that we are making sure that the devices are secure enough to onboard on our network. So in this case, whether it doesn't matter whether it's an employee, whether it's an admin or the guest person, everyone is pointed towards to the one portal, that is the guest portal. After getting the guest portal, we are pointing towards this portal to the BYOD portal. So for example, if he is a guest, he will just come be in this portal itself and he will do the self-registration, and after that he will go with the BYOD setting. If it is an employee, at this time he should enter these credentials. Once he enters these credentials, he is directly redirected towards the BYOD portal. So there is like portal within the portal. So that's how it works. So if we see that there is a process over here, how it works. So first the user will try to connect to the access point maybe. And once the access point is connected, it will open with the guest access, guest portal. So in that guest portal, we are saying to this guest portal to provision the BYOD, enable that portal also, so that whenever he is a guest, that means he will do a self-registration, or it may mostly it will be the self-registration, and he will go with the BYOD process. So this is one extra step over here. But if he is an employee, then he will just go ahead with the BYOD process, complete that one, and that should be done. Now the second time, again, if he is a guest, if after a certain time, the ICE will remove the endpoint details. So for example, the guest has registered now, and the ICE will going to remove that endpoint details after 30 days. And just a guest came back after 30 days and he's trying to register again, and he has to go again through this whole process. But for the employees, we do not purge that data because it's already been, because they are going to log in each and every day. So if they are not logging in since almost like 30 days, it means like 30 days they are not able to, they did not log in. So that's when then they have to go via this BYOD process again. Otherwise, they can just go ahead and connect to the enterprise network. So I hope that clears your doubts how the process works and how the things works over here. So let's go ahead and do the lab now. All right, so I'm on my eyes now. So the first thing what I'm going to do is that I will go to the work centers, and I do have a whole section for BYOD. So bring your own device. And over here, you will see that what are the process you have to follow and what are the things you have to configure. It's been given completely over here. So let's go by one. So since I have integrated my user as well as the endpoints and everything with the within the ICE. So that means endpoints, we do already do have the information, but with the identity groups, again, this is with respect to the endpoints. So coming to the network device, we already added the switch to here, so nothing to be done. External IDD source, we have already added Active Directory, as well as we have created an internal user with user one. Now client provisioning, we are doing nothing for now, because I don't want to implement this one, because when we implement the client provisioning, I will create a separate video for this one. But what happens is like since we are in the virtual machines, it will not implement the change of authorization. So that's the reason I am not configuring this one. So just keep it as a default and click on portals and components. This is where we will configure the BYOD portal. So I will use the default one. Right. So now in the default portal, everything is being set up. You just see that what you have to do. Certificate group tag, don't worry about it. BYOD settings. If you want to require an acceptance, select this one. Otherwise, that should be fine. And once succeeded, it should show the success page, and you can see that work centers BYOD settings, employee registered device. This is where you can see that if it is a BYOD device or not. In the support, I will include that information once the device is been registered. And I don't think so we have pretty much anything to do. Okay, now that's all good, and click on save. Now, before we go to the move ahead, the first thing is that I have created the BYOD portal, but on the guest portal, I need to tell to the guest portal that implement that BYOD, allow the access. So I will go back to the work centers and I will go to the guest access and portal and components over here. And I will select one of the portal, that is the self-registration portal, because I want the guest to be self-registering as well as allow the BYOD. So now since all the settings have been pre-made over here, the only thing I have to enable is the BYOD within this portal. That's it. So if I scroll down, I should have BYOD setting, allow employees to use personal device, and that should be good. Allow employees to choose guest only access. Don't worry about it. That's all good. And click on save. Okay, so let it save. That is been saved. Let's go back to the work centers, come back to our portals and components. Now the thing is here, now the other thing is that the BYOD works with the certificates. So first we have to create a certificate template stating that for that template in saying that you just grab a subject name, that's all. We will create a certificate template to grab the subject name so that using that certificate we can onboard the device and we can verify the device. Another thing that template will be used is that whenever the user logged in, for example, user logged in with user one, so whenever this user is successfully logged in, it will go with the BYOD process, and after that, ICE will run and allow users to download one small application. That application is the network access one. So once the application is been downloaded and run, within that application, ICE will make sure that it install the required certificates, and it will also issue one certificate to the user using this template. And it will make sure that whenever this user is trying to communicate with the ICE, they don't have any certificate error in the browser, as well as whenever they are communicating, this traffic can be encrypted just for the security purpose. All right, so let's go ahead and create this template first, then we will come back to the portals. Now, before I proceed with anything, let's finish up that template, then I will come back to the portals. All right, so where we can see that one, go back to the administrator, or you can go back to the work centers, and within the work centers, you do have external identity source. So I will utilize that one. So within the work centers BYOD options, I do have external identity source. So here I do have the certificate authentication profile. So I will click on that one and I will add one new one. So here I will say that sys cert, and identity store, I will say all join point, doesn't matter. It can be an internal database user or the Active Directory user. That shouldn't be a problem. Now certificate attribute, it should be a common name, and I'm just only using to resolve the identity. That's all, nothing else. And click on submit. Some of the fields on the page, navigate to each field to view and correct. So I think that should be underscore, and that should be fine. Okay, I think that we have created. Let me open that authentication profile. Anything we are missing? Nothing. That should be good with that one. Now, this certificate template is good, but the other thing is that I want my ICE to be acting as a certificate authority. So that means I need to tell ICE that you are the certificate authority and you have to use this particular template in order to issue the certificates. So I have to tell the ICE also. So I will go back to the administrator and I will go back to the certificates. So these are the prerequisites which you have to set up the base in order to work. All right, so certificate templates, certificate authority, and certificate templates. So here I will just describe the details. So I see a template description. Don't worry. Username. You see that by default it is gapping the common name itself. Organization will be CISable, IT. Part state will be AU. Sorry, state will be TAS. And client authentication. I am doing the client authentication, and the ICA will be the internal CA. Any other changes we are looking for? I think that should be good. So now I created the authentication profile. So just to not to confuse. So first what I did is like created the authentication certificate authentication profile. So in this profile, I asked this profile to grab the subject common name. So that can be the MAC address, that can be the username, that doesn't matter. So once he get this information, we have to issue a certificate to the client. So we will be using this certificate template over here, where ICE will be acting as a CA. And once this information is provided to the ICE, ICE will use this template, that is ICA template. And according to that template, it will issue a certificate to that particular endpoint. So this is the first step. Right, so let's move forward now. So my certificate is being done. So let's go back to our work centers, identity stores, and external identity stores. So external identity stores Active Directory is already been added, and the client provisioning we are not looking into that one. Portals and components, again back to that one. So now we already created a default portal, that's all done, and we already enabled the guest portal to proceed with the BYOD registration. Next, my device portal, I need to create a DNS name over here. So I will select the default portal, and I have to create a FQDN. So I will create the FQDN. So I will go to the tools and the DNS. And within the DNS in the forwarding zone, I will create a new AAA record that will say that my devices.sysable.com, that will be pointed towards the ICE one. So, but basically it should be ICE 1 and 2, but since we are doing the lab, we do not require the second one. That should be fine. So I'm just creating a domain name which is pointing towards the ICE one. Now coming back to our ICE, and over here in the My Device portal, you see that there is an FQDN. So this is where I will say that my devices.sysable.com. This is where I will provide that FQDN, so that whenever the client is want to see that how many devices they have registered, they can go to this my devices.sysable.com website. Login page, we don't force anything, just don't do anything. Post login, don't worry about it. Employee change of password, don't worry. Support information, yes, we have to show. My device portal again. So this will be the flow. Login, accept the policies, and after that you should see that device portals. Right, click on save. Now coming to the blacklisted one, again I will do the same thing. I will say that blacklisted, and I will point it towards the ICE. So I'm just saying that blacklisted.sysable.com or blacklisted devices or blacklist devices. So blacklist devices.sysable.com, that will be the blocked ones. And now that is been saved, I think. So let's go to the blacklist portal. Now the blacklist portals, you cannot create new or edit. You can, I don't think so. You can edit also. Okay, on the portal settings, it should ask you the FQDN. No, it doesn't even ask you for the FQDN. That means by default, that is pointed towards the blacklistdevices.com.sysable.com. All right, so that's all with the BYOD portal. That's all done. my device portal, that is also done, and the blacklisted portal, that is also done. Now let's go back to the policy elements over here, and I will go back to the results, and I will go back to the authorization profile. So in the authorization profile, I already have the self-registration. Now let's look into the policies. Now in the first round, I will go ahead with the BYOD registration, and I will allow only access to the ISE. That is only partial access. So I will allow DHCP, I will allow DNS, and I will also allow the ISE access. Apart from that, no other access will be allowed. In the stage two, whenever there is a BYOD registration is done, whenever it is a successful, then in the second step, I will allow full access. So this is what we are going to do in the pro authorization. So step one, we make sure that we contain them. We only ask the endpoint to talk to the ISE only. But in the second stage, when everything is being done, they should get the full access. So currently I have the self-registration, which is in onboarded. That's not a problem. Let's create one more, because that will be used to onboard the client. So next, BYOD registered. If the BYOD registration is successful, this is what he has to get. So he has to be allowed permit all access, and he should be given VLAN number 4, and that's it. I'm allowing full access. Now, if I go back to my self-registration, I'm also allowing full access over here, which is not correct. So what I have to do, I have to create a new DACL over here now. So to create a new DACL, I have to go back to the switch and I have to get the DACL from them. Show IP access list. Okay, which one I can see? Domain, yep, boot PC. So this is the one I will use, permit. And I will open the notepad. All right, so I will remove this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. So basically I'm providing the DNS traffic, I am providing the DHCP traffic, and except that one I am also permitting permit IP any to host 192.168.1.101. So that means also you need to permit IP any to host 192.162.102. So I'm allowing access to the ISE only, and apart from that, all the traffic is being denied. So I will copy that one, go back here, click on add a new DACL, paste it over here, check for the DACL. DACL is valid, no changes. And I will say that it is ISE only. I'm allowing access to ISE only. So now I will use this DACL in the self-registration portal for the first step. And now I will select that one, the DACL, which will be ISE only. So now, whenever the user is trying to connect, he will get a redirect URL and he will be able to access the guest portal. So once the user is in the internal or in the Active Directory, he should be redirected to the BYOD. Now, again, one more thing. I do have two different identity source, that is the ICE internal, and another one is the Active Directory. So I should be defining a sequence. I should be defining a sequence which includes first as a ICE internal database. It will check the first as a ICE internal database. Then it will check the Active Directory, and apart from that, it will check the all different databases. So let's set up that one too now. So to do that one, so I don't see external identity source, and I don't see any external identity source sequence. For the sequence, I think I have to go back to the administrator now. All right, so in the administration tab, okay, thanks up again. And I should see external identity source sequence in the identity management. So in this one, I should see that my device portal sequence and guest portal sequence. And you see that first it is looking for the internal user. That's good. So I will remove this one and this one. The second thing I want to use is look into the Active Directory. Third one, I want to look into the guest users. And the fourth one will be the internal endpoint. And the fifth one will be the all join points. And also, I think we do not require the authentication over here. That's fine. So select this one because we are treating whenever there is no user found in one database, it will keep on checking for the next one. So click on save. And right, so that was saved, but I think we have to select this one also, and we will select the system. So now why I'm selecting the certificate, because what I said before is that first I am going to authenticate the user. After authenticating the user, I am going to issue a certificate for that. Now I'm defining my template over here such that whenever the user is found in any of those one, it will proceed with the BYOD, and after that it will also proceed and issue and certificate using this template also. So ICE will take care of that one. The only thing is that you need to configure that one. And now BYOD is a little bit a long process and complicated to understand, but I will go through this process once again once we finish up. Right. So for now, what I will do is that for the certificate-based authentication, I will uncheck that one. If I have any problems, I will come back again and I will add it over there. But for now, I will just remove it so that I want to check whether the sequence which I am going through, do we really require that one or not? Now let's go back to the work centers, come back to the portals and components. Now, coming back to the client provisioning, so by default, I have enabled each and everything. So what I will do, I'm only required the client provisioning for the Windows one. So I will add it and I will disable that one and done, edit, disable that one. So since I have only the Windows machine, so that's for the reason I am just enabling that one so that it can directly hit that client provisioning default policy and get on with the provisioning. So over here, I can define the condition saying that I'm looking for the Windows machine and the operating system can be any version, that is Windows 8, 10, 7, whatever it can be. Or if you like, you can create a condition over here saying that, let's see what we can match over here. Okay. Uh, you can match the users, you can match the device, you can match the endpoints. So I think I will just that should be good for now. And in the configuration temporal, don't change anything, just leave it default and that should be fine. So I'm just making sure that this is the only one is being enabled. That's all. Now again, still in order to proceed with the client provisioning, I will go back to the resources and I will click on add and I will go with the native supplicant profile, the one which are older version and does not support it. You don't know which type of device will be onboarded. So I will say this one as a S. Okay, what's happening? So let me click. Okay, I will create a new native supplicant profile. And if I scroll down, I should see the wired profile. And it should be the EPTLS because we are using the certificates to verify it. And I'm selecting that template. Optional, no need to change anything. It might be the computer or the user, doesn't matter. And I'm trying to change the name. I don't know why it is not allowing me to change the name. Oh, it created a new profile. Click on edit. It's not allowing me to change the name. I don't know why. Okay, looks like again my ICE is giving trouble, so it should be fine. All right, so we have provided the support. All right, so now that we have provided the support for the older version, so next thing is that on the conditions, if there are no conditions, each and every device will be authenticated if provided the certificate using this one. So what I can do is that I can say that radius port type equals to Ethernet, and also I can select the endpoint, maybe BYOD registration equal to yes. So once I see that these two conditions are matching, if the radius port type is Ethernet, as we know it is Ethernet itself, but whenever the BYOD registration is completed, that's when it will enable this particular temporal agent. And also I think we can select that native supplicant over here, the new profile. So it will use a temporal. This what I can say that BYOD will use a wizard in order to complete that importing of the certificates. And also we are providing in addition that native supplicant support also, whether it can be the older versions. And that should be done and save. So now let's recap because it's been really very, very confusing. So number one is that I want to create the certificate. So first, what I will be creating is that certificate template. So in this template, I'm going to define who will be the certificate authority. That will be the ICE, and I'm going to define my since we are making ICE as a certificate authority, that means we should be providing all the details such as what is our company name, what is our organization unit, what is our location, and these details we will be providing in here. So once we provide it we want this certificate authority to use some kind of template, certificate template in order to issue the certificate. Now this certificate authority, this is for the authentication. So first we will do the authentication. While doing the authentication, it will also generate a certificate and it will issue for the BYOD device. All right, so once that is been done, next thing is that we will be defining our network device, which we already know, which is a switch. Next, in the identity source, we will define the user in the internal database as well as the Active Directory. Since we have both the different identity sources, we defined identity source sequence. So in this sequence, we said that first look into the internal one, next look into the Active Directory, next look into the endpoints or the guest, and so and so. So once that is been done, what we did next was the portal. In this portal, we have we already have the BYOD, which we are using the default one. But in order to get to the BYOD, we enable the guest portal. Within this guest portal, we have set them. If the device wants to register for the BYOD, follow the BYOD process. And next portal we created is the My Device portal, and another portal is the Blacklist portal. So until now, this is what we have done. And coming to the client provisioning, what we did was going to the resources. We made sure that older version of the devices can also onboard. So we created a native supplicant profile. So in that profile, we have given certain information, and we said that we are going to onboard the BYOD, which is the wired one, not the wireless one. Once we get that information, again, we came back to the policy, and in that policy, we said that, okay, BYOD registration should be yes, and it should be a radius authentication. And after that, push that particular native supplicant profile in order to import the certificates. So let's go back to the scenario one by one once again from the starting, how we configure things. Now, the first thing is that I will go to the administrator and I will go to the system, and within that system, I will go to the certificates. Within this certificate, I will go to certificate authority, and here I will create the certificate certificate templates. So within that template, I created one template known as ICA template. And in that template, I have provided all the information which are required. And specifically, I said to this template, this will be used for the client authentication. Right. So once that is been done, so I went back to the administration, went back to the identity source sequence since we are dealing with the multiple databases, went back to the or I did not add the new one. So I selected the, what do we say, the default guest portal sequence. So within this guest portal sequence, you see that it is an internal user, accessible, and all those things. Define the databases. So once they have defined the databases, these things are done. So I went back to my BYOD registration and identity group. We already been created by default, and the switch we have already added. External identity source, we have already added the Sysable, but we did create an authentication profile here so that this profile can look for the username or the common name and provide these details to our ISE in order to issue the certificate. Right. So once that has been done, we went for the client provisioning, we went for the network resources, and we have created a network profile. So in this profile, we said that, okay, we want to do the wired profile, we want to do the certificate-based authentication, and we selected that CA template, authentication profile template. And after that, we went back to the client provisioning policies in the Windows. We are using the Windows. So I said that the BYOD registration should be successful. And after that, you go ahead and import your respected certificates and everything, import in that one so that we can have a secure communication with the ISE. Next thing is portal and components. Within that portal and components BYOD, we made certain changes. I think so. Just with respect to the acceptable use policies. Okay, and you see that it's going to register this one into the registered device group, BYOD settings, that's all. But in order to get this portal, again, we went back to the guest portal and components. So in the guest portal and components, we are using the self-registration because we are enabling self-registration as well as the BYOD registration. So in this guest portal, we have enabled the BYOD process in this one. So now if I scroll down, I have enabled the BYOD. And in this portal settings, you see that it is going to authenticate using that guest portal sequence, which we have already edited. And we have made sure that first it is going to look into the internals database, then it will look for the Active Directory. So that's what we have done. So once that is been done, so we came back to the portals and components. So far this should be clear. And we configured our My Device portal. And within this portal, we have provided the FQDN. So if I expand this one, portal settings, and this is where we have provided the FQDN. And that's all we have done. No changes over here. And coming to the block list portal. So we created a new FQDN, that is blacklistdevices.sysable.com. So that's what we have done so far. Or we can also push, instead of using the self-registration portal, we can also use the sponsor portal in order to provision the BYOD. So what I will do, I will use the sponsor portal so that it will be easy, because in the production, what happens is, like, if it's a sponsored user, he can go directly to the sponsor portal. If it is an employee or someone else, then he can go ahead with the what do we say, with the BYOD. So I will allow the BYOD access over here, and support information, that should be all good. So click on save. And after that, we were in the policy elements. This is where we created the tackle saying that we will only allow access while this process is being in progress. We will only allow access to the ICE. That means my endpoint will only be able to talk to ICE only, no other device. So let's go back to the policy element one more time and go back to the results and downloadable ACL. So this is where I said that ICE only. This is the ACL. All right. So next, the authorization profile. Over here, I have created the self. So I will just rename that one to the sponsor. Okay, it's not allowing me to even change the name now. Now, something is wrong with my ICE. So you see that DACL name is ICE only. I'm pushing the VLAN. And now I will just push the sponsor. I'm pushing the sponsored guest portal itself. So using this portal, I will send it to the BYOD. That should be fine. Now, authorization profile is done. We already created one more authorization profile, that is BYOD registration. That means after the BYOD registration is complete, we want to give him a full access and we want to assign a VLAN of number 4. Now let's go back to the policy sets. So in the policy, I will use the same policy, but the only difference will be that I am going to do the wired map. I'm looking for the guest portal sequence. Okay, so basically authentication, I don't think so we do require to go with the all the databases, since I already have the MAC address information, so I will go with the default endpoints. And here I will select if user not found, I will click on continue. So let's go back here and I can, now this is where we have to be very careful. So I will say that Okay, why I'm not able to create? I will delete and I will create insert a new rule. Okay, it's not allowing me to delete, right? Yeah, it's not allowing me to, I cannot give a name. So I think that 3.1 is a little bit headache. So authentication rule 1 will be, I want to do a wired map, same, no changes in that one. So once this condition matches, I want to go ahead with the self-registration. So that will take it me to the sponsored portal. On the rule number 2, here I will match the endpoints. So I will match the endpoint as, okay, let's see the endpoints. BYOD registration is successful, then we will provision BYOD full access. Right, that seems to be done. So let's go back to our PC and I will close this browser in here. And next I will just shut down this one. Go back to the switch. Clear authentication session and enable again. Authentication is happening. So I will say that show authentication session interface gig 0/2 details. And click on enter. And I should get a URL redirect over here. So I will open the Mozilla Firefox again. And I will paste it over here. And click on advance and accept. And now I will go ahead with the user one. Password should be Cisco 0123. Click on sign on. So that should be successful sign on. And after that, it should start my BYOD registration. Right? See that it's starting my BYOD registration. So click on start. And the system administrator has either not configured or enabled a policy for your device. Okay, that shouldn't be a problem. Okay, that should be the client provisioning issue. So I will go back to the work center, guest access. So I will go back to the BYOD client provisioning. So over here in the condition, I will also say that, what can I say in here? I can add one more condition, or I can just change this one to the, because it is doing the client provisioning, but BYOD registration is not complete. So I should be using some other one that should be or I will just delete that one itself. So if the NAS type is that one, just provision that one. That should be good. And now I will go back here and I will just close this one, right click disable, and go back to the switch, and I will say that clear authentication sessions. Okay, looks like it became very slow now. And after that, I will go ahead and enable that endpoint. And now I will say that show authentication session interface gig 0/2 details. And I should get a URL redirect this time again. And I will open the Mozilla Firefox, paste it in there. So my login should be successful. So it should be user one. And okay, password, it's okay. So it's hanging a lot now. Cisco 0123 sign on. So start the process. And now it is asking me for the device name. So I will say that my first device, click on continue. And now it is downloading that application, which will help me to complete that onboarding of the BYOD. So let it download. And now let's run. Click on yes. Okay, that should run that application now. And click on start. So it says that the issuer for this site is untrusted. So yes, because I am going to import the ISE certificate into my PC now. So it says that this is the ISE1.sysable.com. Click on yes. And the internet site you're about to use has the expired and is not valid. Just proceed it. So network access for the management fail. So I do have two adapters in here. So let me open that adapters page. So it says that for the management, it is failed. So I'm not looking for the management anyhow. I'm looking for the Ethernet 2. So this is the one, so which has been provisioned. So that should be fine. And click on exit. So once that is being done, so let's go back to our ICE now. And we should see the logs, that is operation live logs. And the live log should show that it is a user one. So we got that user one Windows workstation. That should be fine. And it is a BYOD. So to confirm that one, I will go back to the work centers identity group. And in the endpoint group, I will go back to registered device, BYOD registered device. And here I should see that one. So if I go back to the group and if I go back to the guest access, I think it should remove that device from the guest access. If you remember previously, the same endpoint was registered over here. And now if I go back to the registered device, that is the BYOD registered device, and this is now been moved from the guest to the registered device. Now coming back to our PC, so where we can see our HTTPS my devices.sysable.com. I want to go to the my device portal. So it should redirect me to the My Device portal. Okay, it's taking time. All right, so looks like the DNS name is not working, so that's why I'm not able to say ping. Yep. So my DNS is not working. So ipconfigs slash flush DNS successfully done. So let's go ahead and check whether if we are able to ping or not now. So it should be able to resolve, but since we are using the virtual devices, this is where the problem lies in. You see that it is not able to resolve. So what I can do is that um, so this will take me to the ICE login page, but it will not take me to the My Device portal. So ping sysable.com. Nah, it's not pinging. It's not able to resolve. So what I will do is that I will go back to my management. I will assign the DNS over here. Hopefully that should resolve my problem. So let's see if that resolve the problem or not, because the management is able to resolve it. Okay, it's hanging a lot again. So now I will say that pingsysable.com, this time it's working. That's good. Okay, so let's ping mydevices.sysable.com. Let me see if we are able to ping that one or not. If it is able to resolve, that should be a good news. Yes, it is able to resolve. So let's go back to the browser now. This time I will say that HTTPS mydevices.sysable.com, and now I'm able to go accept. Okay, accept. It should open that login page, then it should show me that device is registered. So that should be user one. Sign on and accept. And I should say continue. And this is what I am seeing my first device. Status it is pending, it is already been provisioned, so don't worry. So now what if your device is being lost? So I will select this one. So I will select this one and I will select the stolen option. So you see that it is lost or stolen. You can go ahead and so I can say that it is stolen. That means now the endpoint should be. So it says that if you indicate this device as stolen, it will not have network access until you reinstate it. This might take up to 2 minutes to complete. Do you wish to complete? Yes. And now what should I see in the ICE is that if I go back to the identity group now, instead of the registered devices, this endpoint should be transferred to the blacklisted portal. Sorry, blacklisted group or blocklisted devices group. Okay, so if I click on this one, so now you see that blocklisted, and this is where I am able to see that it is been blocklisted. So that means it should also change the authorization. But if you remember, I did not create any policy for the blacklisted device. So let's go ahead and create that one for authorization profile. So in the authorization profile, I can add one more. Okay, still having that problem. So I can add one more which says that if it matches the endpoint group as a block listed, I want to allow only a limited access. That is Go back to the self-registration and complete that process again. Only limited to the ISE only, no other access. So I will say that endpoints is equal to endpoints group. I will select the group. Okay, where is the group? Operating system, portal user. Okay, select the device. Okay, or I can say identity group maybe. Yep, identity group name matches the block listed. If this group identity group matches the block listed, I want to deny the access. Simple as that. Click on save. Now that the policy is complete, now this device, the block listed device is no more able to communicate onto the network. So what the has to do, the user has to do is that he has to bring is the other device, he has to provision that one, and he has to go back to the My Device portal. And I will do one thing, I will just go to the My Device portal from my management PC. So think that this is a different PC now, which I have onboarded, the user has onboarded, and now I am logging into that one. And click on sign on, click on continue. And now you see that this is the stolen one status. So I want to reinstate, click on yes. So you will bring the other device and it will reinstate. And now again, it has to go to the BYOD process once more time. And if I come back to the identity groups, if I go back to the registered one, you see that still it doesn't shows me over here. So I have to go through the process once again. So I will go to that PC. So I will just close this one and close this one. And I will just disable this one. And I will just clear the authentication sessions. And after that, I will enable it. And now again, I should see the authentication details. I should get the URL. Still, it did not got it. Still, it did not got it. So looks like the switch is also taking a lot of time to implement that one. All right, so that's how you will do your BYOD. And once I do the registration is complete, again, I should see the endpoint on the registered device. Now coming to the settings of the BYOD. Okay, I will go back to the BYOD settings. And employee registered device, I am allowing maximum of 5 devices. So if you want to increase, you can increase, or if you want to decrease, you can decrease. So let me see if now it's not implementing again. So change of authorization, it's taking a lot of time to happen here. So that should be fine. But that was your BYOD. I hope that was informative for you and thank you.